Welcome back to Super Mario 64. Sorry for the 10 seconds of audio silence because recording screw. Womp.
Let's go! It's already
great.
back.
Tall mountain. This is another one of those linear levels that just spirals in on itself. And you have to go up the mountain a little bit to get a star, and then a little bit further to get another star.
Honestly, I thought that Tall Mountain and Tiny Huge Island were actually the same level. Although, okay, maybe that's not fair. This level has brown ground, and there's green ground.
I mean,
in
I'll take you down to brown ground.
I mean, I will say that as level aesthetics go, this one's okay. But in my
I like the mountain kind of aesthetics in New Super Mario Brothers. That's one of the ones that I enjoy in that series. I don't know why, but I do.
It's just that in my brain, levels like this just kind of end up, because I played Gex Enter the Gecko first. This just kind of feels like that one caveman level that is also a mountain spiral that you have to climb your way up, except uglier and not as good. So,
Yeah, but is Gex getting a 3D All-Stars port?
no.
Yeah,
What do you think Gex is doing now?
Sitting at the bar wondering where his life took him.
Wondering why Mighty left of all people.
I mean, Bubsy got another game, and here he is, still sitting around doing nothing.
Bubsy
What
got
can
was
he make
actually
with his life?
super fucking depressing.
Yeah, that's because he's Gex and he deserves it. All right,
If-
maybe if he.
But is
stopped-
Gex worse than Bubsy, though?
No.
no.
Gex is
No.
kind of like he's not worse than Bubsy, but he's more forgettable than Bubsy.
Well, Gex's games were actually good. People remember Bubsy because he's hilariously bad. So,
Yeah, it's like that's because Gex wasn't ever an all-star, but he was never bad. Thus, he is more likely to get lost to the sands of time.
at the time, the Gex games were like really there in the public awareness. People knew
Yeah, for
who
a
Gex
couple
was,
for a couple of years.
but
I would say only for
but-
2 and 3.
but not like long enough to stick as a classic. And that's okay. Not every game needs to be considered a classic to be enjoyable. But
That's the entire point of Cult Classic.
Yeah, there's a lot of games that unfortunately kind of end up like that, where they're really good. It's just nobody remembers them.
well, I'm not even talking about that kind of game. I mean, the Gex games in general were good to play at the time. There's not really much reason to go back to them now or to recommend them to people who didn't grow up with that generation, but if you were buying games at that point in time, they were a good way to spend your money and your time.
Yeah, even then I would call Gex like a good rental, not even a good purchase.
Yeah, it's just a shame that rentals really aren't a thing anymore.
No, I'd say it could be either, depending on your gaming tastes.
I mean, there's is Gamefly still a thing?
I think so.
I feel like there's not really any infrastructure in place for rentals, which
Yeah,
is a
that's
shame.
Either way, the whole rental scene is way fucking smaller than it ever was.
That's something
so-
I feel Steam should do, honestly.
What, rentals?
Digital
Yeah,
rentals.
digital rentals where it's like,
It'd
for-
only be a matter of time for someone cracks the code.
Yeah,
Yes.
I suppose, but it's like
They don't,
a possibly good idea is just
That's
instead of paying $60 for the game, maybe you pay $10 for a
That's-
48-hour rental period.
That's the main thing. You can do that with movies because when you rent a movie, all you're doing is streaming the movie. But with a game, like the only way to rent a movie at maximum efficiency would be to download it. And unless you're playing on a heavily DRM'd, uncracked console, which never lasts very long.
Maybe this
let's
is
be
where the
honest.
We're on
Google
ser-
Stadia can
Yeah, I was just about to mention Stadia
you
myself.
would have
but
to-
I think Stadia might be listening into this conversation.
You would have to essentially, you'd have to stream the game, and I don't think very many people want to play games over stream. I'm sorry.
It's
No.
just,
No,
it's
the
just-
infrastructure just isn't there yet.
It's just a shame because I feel like the rental setup was really good for a lot of different games. Because for a lot of reasons. First off, rentals kind of encouraged marathoning that game because you only had it for the weekend, and I feel like that's why a lot of people got really into certain games because, okay, they only got to play for that weekend, so they really binged hard on it for that weekend, On top of that...
it also just gave you more opportunity to just try random crap.
That is also true, but it also kind of gave games that maybe don't really have as much of a home nowadays their home, because, say, the first thing that I can think of off the top of my head is something like a Mega Man 6 or 5 or whatever, where if you already own Mega Man 2 or 3, maybe you can't convince your mom to let you buy a new Mega Man, but those games can usually be beaten in a day or two, and you can play and experience the new Mega Man and be done with it in a
You already
weekend,
have Mega Man at home, Mega Man 2.
Yeah, but in this case, Mega Man 6 would be Mega Man at home, and Mega Man 2 would be the McDonald's. In that allegory, metaphor, other smart person word.
It's an allegory, yeah.
But anyway, yeah, there's other examples too. There's a lot of, if you don't care about multiplayer, the single player for a lot of first-person shooters is a great thing for a weekend rental, because those campaigns are usually done in 6 to 8 hours, which you can do over a comfortable rental period,
back when rental games existed, first-person shooter single-player campaigns were actually good.
I don't know how good the campaign in the last 4 or 5 Call of Duties are. I know that people generally think highly of the Call of Duty Modern Warfare 1 and 2 campaigans.
Yeah, I
couldn't
played
tell
those.
you about
They're
any.
awful.
I couldn't tell you about.
I hear good things about Black Ops as well.
Yeah. But I mean, I couldn't tell you how good the campaigns are for any of the other ones, because I don't think our specter of the game fan base.
I feel
really
like
cares.
a lot of the time when people say a modern shooter's campaign is good, I get to be the old man shaking my fist at clouds, saying that you kids don't know what a good shooter campaign even feels like anymore.
Well, I mean, they do if they play Doom.
Well, I mean, Doom is also probably an example of a game that could probably be a good rental for people who just want to get the casual experience.
Well, yeah, that's why they released the first game as shareware, so that.
I mean, the modern Doom. I mean,
modern
you could
Doom?
Probably Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal.
I don't know. It's a bit
probably
long.
It is a bit.
Yeah,
long.
they're a bit long, especially if you're going for any optional stuff. In which case, missions can take up to an hour each, and the game has 15 of them.
Yeah, so maybe Doom isn't the best example, but you know what? If we're gonna talk about
even then, though, sorry to cut you off, Ted.
Yeah, go for it.
Renting that game more than once would still be cheaper than just buying it at full retail price.
That is also true. Yes, if the rental, let's assume the rental's $15, you rent it twice, you're still getting it cheaper than even getting it used 6 months down the line. Usually it's 40. It's not until a game's 2 years old until you start getting it used for $15-$20.
Depends on the lifespan of the game, really.
That is true. Yeah.
Also, unless you're Nintendo, in which case your 10-year-old game is still $50.
Well, yeah, but setting Nintendo aside, a lot of single-player games tend to drop to maybe $30 by the half-year mark if they're used. Unless they're really super-de-duper well-regarded games.
That's one of those reasons why I'm still you better get the disc drive versions of your next-gen consoles, because it's if I'm going to buy most of my games digitally, what difference does it make? I'll save $100. It's yeah, but if you spend the $100 now, you'll get all these first year or two games super cheap down the line when you feel like experimenting with stuff.
Yeah, Spider-Man on PS4 is only now at around $20 used, for example, and that game's only 2 years old, I think, at this point.
Yeah, so it's just one of those where if you go on the PlayStation Store or something, aside from a sale, a game will still be $30, $40, $50, even at a discount price.
Yeah.
Whereas if you can go to a game store just on Amazon or something and get a used copy for $5-10 a few years down the line.
Yeah, I hope that there are still local video game stores once we're allowed to go outside again.
I think there'll be much fewer in number. I think the days of GameStop being in every strip mall or something are gonna go away.
Dude,
but that's a shame, especially for the locally owned independent ones, because those kinds of stores are really dependent on people coming in all the time.
In the area around Morristown Mall, there are 7 shops There's the GameStop inside the Morristown Mall. There's the EB Games inside the Morristown Mall, which is owned by the same company, so that baffles me. There's the GameStop outside the Morristown Mall, like half a block down. There's another GameStop in that same area that's like half a mile away. And it's like, wow, are these video game stores, or are they fucking Wawas?
They didn't learn from Circuit City way back when. Or
basically.
Borders Bookstore.
Suncoast.
Circuit City was the electronics computer store that was always designed to look like a big red power plug, right?
Yes, and they would have some gaming and VHS stuff back.
They're
in the day.
basically the same as Best Buy, really.
Yeah, that was where I got that's actually where I got my copy of Evangelion on DVD. That was just now going for like $300. I got it for like $50 back in the day.
I miss Circuit City.
I remember those old Circuit City commercials where they the building was just a giant plug. And I used to think that it was just a humongous outlet underneath the store. It's like, I wonder what they're going to put there when
I miss
it's
Circuit
gone.
City just for that stupid building design.
I mean, as a kid, I feel like I liked those kind of tacky, like, weirdly shaped kind of building designs. For example, Route 1 near Boston, there's all sorts of ridiculous signs and stuff like that. Like, there used to be a Western-themed steakhouse on Route 1, and it had a giant cactus for the sign. It was, oh god, I forget the name because I'm a terrible person.
Dude,
terrible Boston.
I'd rather have that than what we have now, which is everything has to be made of flat squares.
So, but here's the thing. They tore that down and they were building a condo complex there, and people got so upset that they were doing that they had to keep the giant cactus sign there, and now it just hangs up the sign for the condo complex and all of the stores nearby. Another similar thing, just like a mile down the road on Route 1, there was a golf course that had a giant, like, orange T-Rex dinosaur there, and you could see it while you were going down the highway, and it was really iconic for the area. They were tearing down the mini golf course to make, you guessed it, another condo complex. And people got mad that they kept the dinosaur.
I haven't seen a mini golf course in over a decade.
I only know of one in the general area, and to my knowledge, that's the only one in the city.
The only one near me, if I can remember correctly, is like a half an hour away, unless if there one popped up that I don't know about.
The only thing I think of for Putt Putt is that Rugrats episode.
Oh, dude, when I think of Putt Putt...
Ice Cream Mountain.
When I think of Putt Putt and Rugrats, I think of the Rugrats and Paris and 64 game that had a mini golf mini game that was god-awful.
No, the stupid fancy putter that Stu brought... Was Stu or Drew that...
This is making me...
It would be Drew, because Drew was that asshole.
This is making me think of a news article I read on Twitter about a bunch of suburban families banding together to stop a golf course from being turned into a public park. And it had nothing to do with any of the charming stuff you're talking about. They just didn't want their home values going down.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, I don't understand why there are so many... Depending on where you go, there's so many freaking golf courses. It's like, it's such a waste of land.
It's gentrification, really, is all it ends up being. You know, it's just they want to make the area worth more, and adding a golf course or a shopping mall is an easy way to make the area worth more to real estate. You know?
The logic, according to the article, was that they had paid a lot to get their houses close to this, to get houses that are close to this golf course, so they didn't want the golf course going away and driving the value of their land down.
Okay, do a poll and find out how many of them actually golf.
That would be interesting.
I mean, I can understand being annoyed that you spent, it's probably far more than this in terms of dollars, but I'm going to use round numbers so that the math is easy. Like, if you spent $1 million for a house and then removing the golf course makes it only worth $500,000, I can understand being a little bit annoyed, but at the same time...
The point of a house is to live in it, not its inherent value.
The thing about it, though, is that in order to solve this problem, they apparently, like, banded together and bought the golf course so that the city couldn't buy it and turn it into a park.
That's the opposite. That's the opposite of the plot to the Goonies.
It kind of feels to me like the ultimate example of the sunk cost fallacy.
Yeah, in the Goonies, they were going to tear down all of their houses in order to make a golf course, and these people, they're buying the golf course so that they can keep their posh home values. It is the opposite Goonies. In that one, that means that the robbers take all the pirate treasure and kill all of them.
People chip in for groceries. People chip in for a meal. Who chip in for a golf course?
You know, we can do it on a timeshare. So I own hole 6 while you own hole 12.
Pitch into the BrainScratch Comms Fund where we buy an arena to do esports.
Dude.
What we'll do is we'll buy the last surviving actual arcade in America and keep it open for no reason.
Yeah, but we still can't find a proper Neo Geo machine to play Metal Slug on, so we have to run something with MAME in order to have it instead.
Man. But, at least that would be a noble endeavor,
Yeah, arcades, the few that remained are probably screwed after the pandemic and whatnot. Because I know that, the Sega arcades in Japan had to close down because they can't keep running now.
I guess we'll see.
I hate this monkey, by the way.
What way?
He's just an asshole.
Yeah, he's definitely the type of dude that will say something offensive and then people get angry about it. He'll just say it the joke.
Yeah. Also, his name is Ukiki, which, if I remember correctly, is just Japanese for ukuguk. So imagine you're a human and you named your child vowel. I don't know. This metaphor is getting.
You were born in Boston. Your name is Boston.
Yeah. Sure. Whatever. Cut the feed. This is failing.
We'll see you all in the next part.
Stop recording.